What's up, baby? Welcome to Re-Frag. My name is Drew Face, and this is my co-host
Scooter, and today we're gonna be covering some very close to home topics for me. So Drew, what do you want to take us away?
Yeah, man. Look, recently Riot had to ban 3 players from, I believe, Southeast Asia for match fixing, but they only banned them for 3 years. And to me, this was really interesting because if this happened, this a similar scenario happened years ago in Counter Strike, and Valve lifetime ban of 15, 17-year-old kid. I don't fucking get it. What? Like, to me, I was like, right, that was a very reasonable consequence and punishment for those kids for Riot. 3 years, yeah, you match fix. You literally ruined the integrity of Valorant. You for betting, which is like, sadly, this is gonna happen more often than it's not. But 3 years, I think that's appropriate. Lifetime ban for Brax. Come on, Valve. Like, still 10 years later, I'm still not over it. Like,
Yeah, and it's
tell me how you feel about it, because I know you feel way more passionate about it than I do.
so the weird part is, right, that if anything, the bans should have been flipped. And the reason I say that is because this was when it happened in CS, that was the first major time it's ever really happened. It had kind of happened in the past with like Dota, and there'd been a couple of one-offs, but Valve didn't even fully lifetime ban the Dota team.
No.
CSGO, this is like the first major case, and they lifetime ban. Now, even kids getting into esports now, like these young Valorant players, know about the iBuyPower situation. Everybody knows about the iBuyPower situation.
Yeah.
If they got a lifetime ban, I'd go, okay, understandable. Now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt that they are young, and they are, they're going to make stupid decisions when they're young. But if they had received a lifetime, I would have weirdly been okay with that, because there's been several accounts of it happening before, happening in Mountain Dew League, which we weirdly, very local to us, a lot of players that have been in our own home, aka Waves, are currently under FBI investigation and everything. And then on top of that, there's the iBuyPower situation, Dota League, all of it, you name it. And these guys had everything to go off of, and all they got was Riot being nice. They got Riot being like, you know what, you're young, here's a 3-year. Sure, Valorant might go skyrocket and you might have missed your window, but that's on you. And then, 3 years is nothing. It really is nothing in the scheme of things.
Yeah. Like, you know what? Like you said, there's a precedent for match fixing. If you do it the first time, they're gonna make you an example. They didn't make these kids examples. They're just like, yeah, you're young. 3 years. We hope that you come back with a fucking brain and mature up, because you don't understand what you guys did yet, but you will hopefully when you can't play professionally and make a living off what you want to do for a living, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, why did like, I still can't get over it. Brax got a lifetime ban. Still can't play Counter Strike professionally. Still got a lifetime ban. Still can't play Counter Strike professionally. Those guys are like, still definitely matured. Still definitely understood.
Well, it's funny you mentioned they can't make a living off of it, because in the iBuyPower situation, a big thing when after the iBuyPower situation, a lot of the interviews, once it was fully done and the players were fully opening up about it, they had said, look, we weren't getting money, we don't have anything, and we had touched on this in a previous episode.
Yes, we did.
But they weren't getting money, and they were relying on tournament winnings and the occasional sponsor. Now, if you're going pro, it is 2021. There are players making 5-digit salaries monthly. There is no excuse now for that you weren't getting enough money. And I get it if I can't remember what tier of Valorant it was, but it doesn't matter. There is even small tournaments, even local tournaments can have like 10K prize pool. There is literally no excuse for it now.
Yeah, and they only got 3 years. I'm not saying that's not an appropriate punishment. I'm saying it like, I think we both agree that's a great punishment, because it's like 3 years, you're out of the game. The meta is going to drastically change at high level, like, super, like, forever.
Not to mention, you're going to miss your window.
and you're gonna miss your window because this is the best time to establish yourself, right? And in a year, things can happen really quickly, right? But after 3 years, that's like a lifetime in esports. You might not be the same.
Especially with
And
Valorant being so new. Like there's
yeah,
still so many teams forming, changing. Like even after this Masters, obviously we saw Sans Tens becoming full time, and there's gonna be a bunch of roster moves before the next
yeah,
big tournament. I can almost guarantee it.
yeah, absolutely. The NA shuffle is happening right now.
And because of the last couple of years, people are looking towards young guns because young
Yeah,
guns have been the proving. A great example of this is Obo from Complexity, and
oh
then
yeah,
now he's on Evil Geniuses. Sure,
yep,
the Complexity thing was a little. That's a whole another episode.
yep.
Um, but I love Complexity, and that was the best decision they made. They looked so good with this young gunner, and that's what new orgs are looking at. They're taking these chances on young players. So if you're 17 and you're showing up in this tier 3, tier 2, and you're making a name for yourself, it's easy to do now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
very
like the
easy.
old days.
No, there's no one gatekeeping you. Like Valve's not gatekeeping you, right? It's just like, yo, you want to ascend to the top? This is the best time. Show off your skill because we love fresh talent, we love exciting talent. And Riot, one I said in a previous podcast, Riot cares about you. They really do. They seem like they care about the community as a whole, developing them. And it's like, yeah, it's like I'm happy to see that type of punishment for a ban because now there's a precedent from Riot. Riot seems to be a little more empathetic than Valve is. Right, Valve is hands off, cold, distant. It's like a very very bad ex lover who you divorced for some reason, or all they have is only negative memories of you, and that negative memory is called Counter Strike.
I just feel like Valve has a lot of shit ass backwards. I mean, you can get banned. You can literally cheat and you'll
Yeah,
be back in 4 years. That is the ban. You get banned for 4 years. After your VAC ban is passed for 4 years, you can return to competitive CSGO. But if you
right.
match fix once when you're underage and young, sure there was older players on the team, you're getting banned for life over cheating. I get there's real money implications and it can be quite serious
Right.
fixing a match, but also we're gonna let somebody that possibly could have won $1 million because they used a cheat and they're allowed to come back, even though they probably scammed several teams out of their position at tournaments and their position in online qualifiers and all that. And we're just like, yeah, they only get put away for 4 years.
Like even now with the Akuma situation, that Akuma situation against Navi, it seems like it's developing where Akuma did cheat, and I was like, okay, like I was just like shrugged his shoulders, like they cheated. Okay, what do you want? Like, you found out they cheated. What are you gonna do? Right? It's like no, Valve, like this is your game. Like you have a really big, like you can take it all away from us.
Yeah. And it's
You
like,
can
then
literally.
you should be getting involved, Valve, because your number one player in the world is
Mm-hmm.
saying he thinks that guy cheated. If Simple came to me and said, "Yo, that guy's cheating," I'd go, "Yeah, okay, yeah, he's cheating."
Yeah, we gotta look into it. Like
Yeah,
that's what you know who does this really well. So there's that like there's a situation where Shazam called out a cheater on stream. He messaged an admin on Riot. The right admin Riot and admin looked into it. Now obviously this is a different scenario because it turns out he wasn't cheating. It was like a very rare bug, but they found out it was a rare bug, right? They were like, okay, we're clarifying. We banned this guy. We're gonna look into it. They looked into it. They unbanned the guy and they explained to everybody, no, this is not. He wasn't cheating. There's just a really specific bug. We're gonna patch it out. But that's a proper response from a company that cares.
yeah, and I mean, it just goes to show. I can guarantee. I think in the Valorant, like when it was still in alpha and stuff, they said their dev team was currently like 50 something people. And it's
Mhm.
like, that's the dev team you need for a esports game. I don't care what, if everything's already made, you need a bigger dev team. And the fact that CS has two, they can't do shit like that. They can't go in and be like, and I don't know whose decision that is. I don't know if that's the CSGO department's decision where they only need like two devs, or it's Valve being like, you don't need more. And I don't know, it's dumb because I've seen the situation you're talking about. And even when the beta was public and they were playing matches and stuff like Shazam and all that, and they were getting like you sniped and getting cheaters, and the
Yeah,
admins be like, okay, message like DM me again if it happens, and we'll just come in and instant ban them because they were like blatantly cheating.
yeah. And Vanguard at the time, obviously Vanguard was in public beta, right? So like they were like still testing Vanguard without actually like breaching your privacy. So I mean that's another issue on its own, but that's all right. Like, but yeah, like that's a response from a company that cares. And like look, man, it's like you've said it a few times, but like Counter Strike can be, it is the biggest esport in the world. Like it's definitely top two.
Well, every time
Like
there's a big event, it's always breaks numbers, like
yeah, like
because everybody can watch it. It's easy watching.
yeah, like it's Counter Strike, League of Legends, Dota, Counter Strike. Those are the big three. Those have been the big three for a very long time. And Counter Strike is literally tactical FPS embodied. Everything about tactical FPS, Counter Strike has it, right? And it's like they're not treating the old man with the legacy he deserves. And then now the old man, now Riot comes in, Hunky Dory is like, hey, we got a new kid on the block, and he cares about you.
And he knows what you want from a game, and you know we know how to make a good ecosystem in esports, and Valve's like, well, we could do something about this. I know. Let's drop a new case.
Yeah, let's drop a new case. Operation Bloodfang. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's
E- Even
yeah.
Bloodfang. That's actually a key example of like, or whatever the new one was. Um, that's another brilliant example that Valve hadn't made one in what, like 5 years,
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
and they were just like, I guess we'll make another operation. It's like, no, if you want to maximize your like profit and get us better servers and just do things right, do more operations because one, the community loves them. All the fun mini missions are always really good. And that's the
Mhm.
thing, when CSGO actually does something, they do it really well. Even if
Yeah,
it is recycled content, the community will pay that $20 for the pass, or if you're American 11 or whatever.
bro. The community would pay $10 to get past the like the entry bar. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To get past the whole like Prime thing. To get Prime. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's insane. Sorry, Canadians have to pay $10 to get Prime. But yeah, like dude, it's insane. And the weird part is like they lie to us. This 128 tick servers are affordable.
Yeah, yeah, clearly. Thanks to Riot for just being like, this is what we are gonna do. And remember how everybody wanted 128 in that other game? Well, we're gonna prove that everybody can still play. Everybody's computer can handle it. Hell, we made League of Legends run on a toaster. We can make FPS run on 128.
And they did. The
Yeah.
only issue is when Viper ults, there everyone might have an issue. But that's okay. Like that's like they're working on it. They're
Yeah,
working.
and that's the thing. They're open about that stuff. Where in CS, very rarely will they make a tweet. Where they were doing it a lot like 2 years ago, but not so much anymore. Where they
Mhm.
acknowledge bugs. Riot will acknowledge it and even have a bunch of staff on Twitter being like, haha, look at this bug, it's funny. But also we've disabled it for the time being. And it's like, thank you. And you didn't
Yeah.
shut down the servers for like 10 hours or like, delay it even further. You're just like, okay, Omen's broken right now. Omen can't be played.
No.
It,
Killjoy's broken right now. We're fixing it.
yeah,
Yoru is broken right now. Yo, we're fixing it. Yo, here's the craziest part about like this communication from Riot versus Valve, right? Like eh, the game Counter Strike only got bigger. It only got bigger. It's bigger than it's ever been. There's more users playing it every day than it's ever been, and it just seems like they stopped giving a fuck. Like,
yeah,
they really did. Like, how long did it take for them to nerf the Creek? 2 fucking years. I counted 2 fucking years.
yeah.
2 years. That gun made someone's career. That's insane. It's like I don't fucking get it. Like I just
Yeah.
don't get it.
And I mean, I don't know. I mean, speaking about bad communication, you want to talk about what happened this week with the Nate shot situation?
Dude. Nate Chach is like Nate Chach was super honest. Sure, like take it away, Scooter. Like this.
So
Name Shot's a hero.
so if you haven't seen it, we'll
Mhm.
probably put a link in the description so you guys can watch it. But
Yeah.
during E3, a interview segment came out with Nadeshot and Hex of 100 Thieves and Optic, and they were just chatting. It was essentially like what we're doing right now, where
Except
Nadeshot,
they got way more clout. They got way more
yeah,
clout
they
than
got
that.
way more clout. Hey, soon. But Nadeshot just said, off the record, and they were just
Yeah.
kind of chatting between the two of them, as if
Right.
Drew and I turned off the camera and we were just chatting, I wouldn't
Yeah.
put it on. They
No.
aired this in one of the biggest events of the year without even talking to, and went radio silent with Nadeshot about said interview. And it's like, I understand the community was mad about a lot of the stuff that Nade said.
No.
However, one, it shouldn't have been public in the first place.
Nope.
Two, a lot of it was true. And it's tough to hear from a fan's point of view that they're pushing you stuff that you don't want to hear. But at the same time, that's just the cost of esports. A lot of the shit that they had to do and to be honest about, like, what we didn't, well, like when he mentioned that the CSGO was just like a fucking waste of time for them. It is, because CS:GO, again, this is a Valve problem, but Valve's esports scene just isn't friendly to orgs getting into it, especially at the tier 1 level.
No.
And all the other stuff, like people getting mad about him talking about the money and the merch, he's allowed to be. Esports is so expensive. Think about what they're paying these guys to keep them under teams. Of course
Like
they're going to make good merch though.
you and I are like at a high level in an org, in the tier maybe 2 or 3 org, esport org. Like I'm the art director. You're literally the chief of media, like the chief of media and content. We know how much it costs to run a team. We know how much it costs to like pay people salary, because you want to pay people, because when you pay people they do better work for you, and then in turn they generate revenue. But right now it was so early in esports, there's only very few ways to generate revenue for esports. We know this because you and I severely we are getting what we're worth, but we're getting what we're worth in other ways, right? We're not, whereas like other people are getting compensated, and we're trying to compensate other people for what they're worth. And the way we're doing it is we have to sell merch. We have to push merch, because merch sells. Merch is only one of the few and only ways that an esport team can recoup their losses, right? Because you don't want you can't keep winning these tournaments,
Yeah.
right? It's not consistent. The turnover for teams it, it's insane. The turnover rate, like your team can change within 3 months, within a patch. Within a second, a patch might change your entire esports team, right? Teams are very costly to manage, and then the thing is that if you want a good esport team, you got to hire the right people. Good people are not cheap to hire,
No,
not at
exactly.
all. Like,
Especially at that 100 Thieves level. Like, you have to think what the players are getting paid. Probably, depending on game. I mean, I'm sure
like,
Call of Duty, they're getting paid a fuck
like
ton.
I know Nitro has one of the highest salaries in Valorant, because
Yeah.
apparently Kaide leaked it.
And that's the thing, right? All these
It's like a
players,
100,000 a month.
yeah, and fans don't think about that. Like, yes, okay, it's very common that we hear about player salary, but you
Yeah.
don't think about behind the scenes. There's
Like
like,
how can we maintain that salary?
yeah,
Like the fans have to start asking that, right? Because that's like there's very few ways to make money in esports, and winning tournaments is not a way, because winning tournaments only, like, most of the time the player gets the money, right?
yeah.
Most of it, right? If it's a good org, most of the players get most of the money, right? So it's like
And see, right, like what I was saying about the fans not looking at it is like, for example, they see the players, and that's usually how it goes from a fan's point of view. They only
right,
really think of the players, unless somebody like, Drew, if you were on 100 Thieves, you'd have that personality, and people would be like, oh, Drew.
yeah,
But on 100 Thieves, you got to think they're the top of the top. They're probably the best org in esports at the minute. And,
yeah.
they have to pay people like Drew, like their creative director, a lot of money too. So people don't
Because
understand.
he's bringing so much value indirectly,
Exactly.
right? Like that's the thing. When you pay people what they're worth, they bring in more money for you, right? Sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, and all those cool graphics, all those crazy art directions, all the planning for the merch, like that costs a lot. That doesn't. It's not cheap, and it's not cheap because they're good at it. You don't want to pay someone $10 on Fiverr to do 100 feet marketing, right? That's insane. like they have talented world class designers, they have talented world class strategists, like sitting there planning, creating campaigns for you to buy, like for you to buy their product for that reason, because that's how they know how, that's how they make their money. And unfortunately, it's very obvious in esports, you make money off merch. You don't make money off anything else. Like sponsorships, you can get it. Like sponsorships is awesome, but
Usually
like
breaks
now,
even though.
but like that, the thing is, sponsors get burnt out, right? Sponsors are looking at like esports. They're like if I'm a beer company and I sponsor an esports team, well, they're not buying beer. They're not buying my beer. So then they pull out. Food sponsors. There's a reason why food sponsors are always rotating, because like gamers are buying food stuff, but they're not buying enough of it. So it's like the only way like esports teams stay alive is from merch, and it's like sponsorships and merch, and like the sponsorship side is clearly falling and falling and falling, and the merch is only staying alive, and that's like why like Nate, like whatever what Nate Shot said, even though it hurts, it's the truth. Well, esports team costs a lot. Esports team have very little return on investment.
Yeah.
It's like it hurts to say, but the thing is, the marketing of an esports team doing well. I mean that it brings in a lot of money. Yes, indirectly. That's the thing. It's not direct, and some companies they need the direct and they need the direct money. They need the direct income.
So you touched on it a little bit. I wanted to actually pick your brain about something.
Right.
You mentioned the turnover rate of players.
Right.
Did you see the thing that happened with FaZe this weekend or last
Yeah,
weekend?
on the Sports Illustrated stream.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we were talking about it briefly on Discord. Privately, I was like, "Hey, this is really interesting," but it makes sense, right? It makes sense. The turnover rate for esports team is literally, it can be as quick as a dime. It can be like 1 second. The minute Valve can say, "Yeah, we nerfed the recoil of an M4," yo, a lot of players will they're gonna get dropped. Riflers are gonna get dropped left and right. You're gonna be picking up some machine running gunners, right? And that's the thing with FaZe Clan. What they did this weekend was they were the first esports team to get a feature on Sports Illustrated, which is fantastic. It's huge. Sports Illustrated is legacy, hundreds of years of a sports magazine showing off that, hey, the future is video games, which is awesome. But the thing is, fans were very riled up because no one on the cover was from the esports team. Nobody was from the esports team. They were all either content creators or owners, and or both, right? Because
I
a lot
think
of
they
the
all
content
were.
creators
Yeah.
were,
I think they were
yeah,
all
I think they're
owners.
all owners actually. And to me that makes sense, because you know why? Your Call of Duty player might get busted for using Adderall, and then he's out of the team, like the week after that article. Then what? That photo looks stupid. You look stupid, right?
Yeah.
So you keep the people you know are gonna stick around for at least 2-3 years. And who happens? That happens to be Nick Merckx, LeBron James Jr. You know, like all those guys. So it's like, yeah, it turnover rate in an esports team is very high. Whereas like content creators, what people don't understand is that content creators bring in a lot of value because they have a lot of direct influence, because they're basically walking billboards, right? That's what we want from sponsors. Sponsors want that. Sponsors want someone who's highly visible, who can directly influence their target demographic, and that's what content creators do. That's why when you're a player, the most important thing you have to do is become a content creator, because now you increase your value by tenfold. It's through the roof, because now when you're a content creator, you're a media company now, and you're not just a player who plays games to win. You're reaching out, you're influencing a group of people, and then eventually you're gonna create a niche for yourself and have a demographic to target. And that's why like the turnover rate for players is very high, but when you become a content creator, you create more value for yourself. And that's how us as a team, that's how we levy uh sponsorships. We use your analytics, your vanity analytics, to help say, hey, this guy brings in $10,000, 10,000 viewers every week, that, and 110 unique viewers every day. It's like he's a lot of value. Please give us $70,000, because he's going to sell that much product for you, and we're going to sell that as a team for you. And then then you use the promo code. The promo code works, and you're like, wow, that guy brings in a lot of value for us. And we'll renegotiate. Maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower.
Yeah,
That
exactly. And actually, a really good example of that, and it's kind of similar topic or
yeah,
similar example, but G Fuel. So you'll notice G Fuel has a lot of 30% codes for certain people. Some people drop down to that 10%, and that's because their codes are kind of, you know, maybe not as used much, or and G Fuel doesn't get that value. So G
no,
Fuel, because they don't get the value, they drop it back down to 10, and it's a consistent 10. But people
yep,
like PewDiePie is a consistent 30. Now, look at look at it from the point of view as somebody that as drinks it or whatever. They're gonna use PewDiePie's code. Now,
yeah,
one, that helps him. Two, they know about his code always because it's usually 30%. So that will be
yeah.
their go-to code, even if they don't watch him as much.
It's a trackable asset, right? They can use it. They're like when they look at their KPIs, which kids it means key performance indicator. They'll look and they'll say PewDiePie 30% code is used, I don't know, 100,000 times a year, which means this guy is selling X like 100,000 tubs or orders of G Fuel. And then they're going to say, we're going to bring this back. This is how much value you bring. And then they go back to the negotiating table. And most of the time, if the code hasn't changed, right? That means it's stable. That means he's literally living up to his end of the deal. And then they give him money because obviously like he's selling so much for them. So it's
Yeah,
like that's what this is the truth. This is a hard truth. Most esports fans don't want to hear this. Like, but that's how these guys keep getting paid. That's how these guys keep entertaining you.
yeah,
And you gotta accept that. Like we sports people have accepted this for a long time.
yeah,
It's ingrained into our culture now as sports. We're gonna have to get used to this as an esport. It's not we don't live in a like utopia where like I don't know there's universal income for everybody. No, we live in a world where capitalism like rules the world, and that's how people make their money. And sadly, let's not preach into capitalism talk in an esport podcast, but we live in that world. This is a society. Thanks. Thanks. Zack Snyder.
and I mean that's the thing, right? Like, I wish fans knew a lot more about the business side because I think even when Cloud9 did the like initial, it was when they were building the CSGO juggernaut, and they were showing buyouts, salary, they were showing like terms, and it was the CS scene got a little bit of that education, and I just wish, and that's kind of what I hope we're bringing to the table for listeners. We're informing people, we're having fun with it, we're giving our hot takes, but at the same time, both Drew and I are in positions or have been in positions where we can tell you, like, this is why it's this way, and this is why, and we're going to break it down to as simple as possible because one, it's more fun to listen to, and two, we just want to educate as easily as possible. And
Yeah.
it's fun to talk about. Like, we love talking about this shit. We usually, when we finish recording, we go on for an extra hour and just chat about everything esports. And it could be its own episode, but it's not.
It's not. It's not. Well, mainly because we say a lot until very, very,
We
very,
say very
very
much
strange.
business stuff.
Yeah, very, and that could be very boring, right? But it's the truth. Like we talk about this all the time, and unfortunately, we're in it all the time.
Yeah,
Like we're
exactly.
legit in it. Like it is rough sometimes, but hey, it is what it is.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us, unless there's anything you want to add.
Oh no, absolutely not. I think this is not. I think we hit it on the button, and we're good.
Alrighty. Well, that's it from us. We are going to be back next Wednesday with another episode. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, which will be in the description. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Re-Frag TV. And we will see you all on Wednesday morning.